I do not come from a higher education institution, so not from academia. I am a desk manager at the Department for Evaluation of Foreign Academic Degrees, the Ministry of Education, also being one of the 2 national centers on information and higher education in Israel. I've been very much involved in all in regard to Bologna process ever since 2002, with the very much highlighting during the term of Professor Yuri Tamir as Minister of Education, because probably when reading the political developments and also of Israel in regard to international, there were many things happening, like Professor, first of all, Professor Tamir coming from academia, knowing exactly the needs of the Israeli higher education system. Also, was something that it has to do with also with government policy in regard to international relations, vis-a-vis different countries, but mostly also vis-a-vis to European Union, because we had the EU-Israel Action Plan, which was adopted in 2004, and higher education also in that action plan has a very important part. Also because we were one of the signatory countries of Lisbon Convention in 1997. So I don't want to repeat others in regard to Bologna process, but as you know, it's an intergovernmental process gathering together to this day 47 countries, which apply with the funding documents of the process itself. Israel being a non-member of neither of Council of Europe, and because of that, and also not a signatory state of the Cultural Convention of 1954 of Council of Europe, cannot join the process. But even though Israel's interest in Bologna process is very high, so when you see the Lisbon Convention, which has become one of the legal documents of Bologna process, it's a recognition of a higher education qualification issued in another country, which shall be granted to the holder of qualification accordingly access to further higher education studies on the same conditions as candidates from the country in which recognition is sought, the use of an academic title subject to the laws and regulations to the country in which recognition is sought. It also has providing information on countries' own higher education system, including institutions and programs, appointment of a National Information Center, enabling the offering of the advice on the recognition of foreign qualifications to students, graduates, employers, higher education institutions, and other interested parties and persons. As I stated, as implementation stages of Lisbon Convention, there are 2 Israeli national centers. One is situated in my department, and the other one is situated in Council for Higher Education, because Council for Higher Education being the sole authority, official authority dealing with all issues on higher education in Israel. And also one of the implementations is also encouragement of all higher education institutions to issue the diploma supplement to their students upon graduation. So being one of the legal documents of Bologna process, it's also one of the funding documents of the process itself. And if we see, the process is organized on several levels of implementation: international, national, and institutional. On international level, you have several modes of cooperation and several structures developing the process itself, which is Bologna Follow-up Group, Bologna Secretariat, and both of them are chaired by the country which will hold the coming ministerial conference of Bologna process. Is also ministerial conference, which goes by the countdown from 2012 to Bologna 1999. It's Bologna Policy Forum, which was one of the results of the Bologna ministerial communique in London 2007, based on its on the global dimension of Bologna process, and also Bologna process seminars, which Israeli Bologna experts are part of it. Now, on the national level, it involves the government and ministries responsible of higher education. It's an intergovernmental process, writers' conference or other university associations, students' union, employment. And for the last decades, when we started all of our efforts to join the Bologna process, actually, on the national level, there were 3 ministries: Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with all the departments involved in it, Ministry of Education, and also Council for Higher Education. We were a group of teams which did an excellent job vis-a-vis all our foreign counterparts, and also international organizations to try to find the way of joining the Bologna process. And ever since, there is a constant policy and systematic efforts on finding ways to enable Israel's joining the Bologna process, or being a very important part of the process itself. The third level of implementation is institutional level, which involves institutions, higher academic institutions, faculties and departments, students and others. I should say that up to the end of 2010, little was done to reach a higher involvement on institutional level in Israel, because, as Sarah said, we were a very small group of people who knew about Bologna process and all the ongoing. Now, when I see the Israel for the first time, I don't want to repeat Shira what she said, but we applied in 2007, and which was rejected with the recommendation of the Bologna follow-up group, and also from the Bologna Secretariat in London. Ever since, we have done diplomatic efforts with the European Commission as one of the voting members of the process, delegation of the State of Israel in Brussels, EU delegation to the State of Israel, minister responsible for higher education in several countries of Bologna process, be it either by bilateral meetings with our minister or be also by the correspondence. And we have raised ever since the issue over and over again. Of course, as I said from the London communique, we were part also participating in Bologna Policy Forum. There are 3 of them on that, and part of our efforts on joining the Bologna process and also on being very much involved in all the programs with the EU is the joint declaration of July 2008, which was signed jointly by Professor Yuri Tamir, Minister of Education of the State of Israel, and Mr. Jan Figel, Commissioner for Education, Training, Culture and Youth on European Commission. This joint declaration aims at setting up the sectorial policy dialogue, consisting on regular exchange of best practices, reviews and policy developments, and challenging through the dialogue meetings. Now you have to know that EU doesn't have too many joint declarations signed with many countries. There are only specific countries in the specific areas of concentration. The EU is interested and keen to have further collaboration. There were 2 dialogue meetings, one held in Brussels and the other one held in Jerusalem. And we have forwarded to the European Commission the willingness of the Israeli counterpart to keep on having those dialogue meetings in the field of education, higher education, and youth exchange. As part of this joint declaration also was the establishment of National Tempus Office in Israel in 2008, enabling Israeli participation in Tempus program, which until Tempus 3 wasn't available to Israeli entities. I don't want to go into it because Shira has already explained. But as you see, there is a lot of Israeli interest in EU programs which implement somehow Bologna process in this way or another. These are on the 4 calls for proposal, the programs that Israeli participations are part either consortium, and in one of them on the 3rd call is also leader of the consortium. And useful links for all the information that can be found in regard to Bologna process, also on centers for recognition, which are also national centers on information, and also Bologna experts. So this is it, and thank you very much.